In this video, we're going to talk about graphing linear inequalities. First, we're going to go over just the basics of the inequality symbols. So we have less than or equal to, and then you have greater than or equal to. So starting at the top left, we have the less than symbol. It kind of looks like if you make an L with your left hand, it looks like you do your pointer finger and your thumb to make an L. It's kind of that same shape. So if you ever forget, that's an easy little trick to remember it. So with the less than, that just means everything that is lower than or fewer than or below whatever number or value that you're given. So for this example, if x is less than 4, then that means that would include 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, -2, every number that is less than 4. So to graph that on a number line, we have an open circle above the value of 4 because it's not equal to 4, it's just everything below that. So with the less than symbol, you have an open circle and you shade everything below that value. Then we'll go straight down to the less than or equal to. So we have the same example of the value 4, but if you have x or whatever number is less than 4, then you're going to actually include the value of 4 in that one because it's less than or equal to it. So we have a closed circle over the value of 4, and it also includes all of those numbers that are below 4. Some other values or some other words or terms that mean less than or equal to, fewer than or equal to means the same thing. Then those last two phrases you see, at most and no more than. I typically think about money when I'm dealing with inequality. So if I have at most $4, that means that I have $2 or $3 or $4, but I don't have anything bigger than that. So it's no more than 4, but it can be less than. Then let's move over to the right side here where we have the greater than symbols. So starting at the right top hand side, we have x is greater than or more than 4. So that means that we are including the numbers that are bigger than 4, like 5, 6, 7, 8, all the numbers that are greater than 4, but we're not including 4 itself because 4 is not greater than 4. 4 is equal to 4, but this only tells us that we are talking about the numbers that are bigger than 4. So we have an open circle over 4 and we shade everything to the right or everything above 4. Then if we go down to x is greater than or equal to 4, that means that we now have all the numbers bigger than 4 and we can include 4 itself. Okay, so it's greater than or equal to, it's more than or equal to. And for this one, I also like to think about money. Anytime I have that the equal to part involved, I like to think about money because it makes more sense that way. So if it's at least $4 to get into a movie, for example, then it might cost $4 or it might cost $5 or it might cost $6 or more, but it's not going to cost me any less than $4. I know I've got to spend at least $4, so 4 or more than that. So these are just the basic inequality symbols and how to graph them on a number line when you have just one value to plot. But we're actually going to move into linear inequalities, which is like lines, but they have inequality symbols instead of an equal sign. All right, so graphing linear inequalities, the first part is very, very similar to just graphing any line. We have to start first with slope-intercept form. So we have to have it like y equals mx plus b. The only difference is instead of having an equal sign, we're going to have an inequality sign. So I'm going to put a box here just to represent that that's not going to be an equal sign all the time. Then the next part is to go ahead, once you have y equals mx plus b, use your slope and your y-intercept to plot the line on the coordinate plane. After that, So that's all stuff that we've done before with graphing lines. After that, we have to consider the fact that we have an inequality. We don't have just an equal sign. That means that we are either going to have to make our line solid or dashed, and we're either going to have to shade above that line or below that line. So solid line or dashed line is a question we have to ask after we've got our points plotted. Then we have to decide if we need to shade above or shade below. Finally, I have a reminder in this last box for you, because when you've done inequalities before, you might have forgotten this part, but when you're getting your line into slope-intercept form, like y equals mx plus b, if you divide by a negative number or multiply by a negative number, you have to flip the inequality sign. Okay? So we'll walk through this example together. All right, first we have the line 2x minus 3y is less than 12. So we've got to get this into the form y equals mx plus b, even though it won't be an equal sign, it'll be an inequality. So we'll have 2x minus 3y is less than 12. We need to subtract 2x from both sides and simplify. So we have negative 3y is less than, I'm going to change the order of those so that we have mx plus b, so negative 2x plus 12. Now this next step, we've got to get y by itself, so we have to divide by negative 3. But if we're going to divide by a negative number, our sign's going to flip. So I'm going to divide everything by negative 3. So our sign is going to change. All right, we're going to simplify. So negative 3 over negative 3 is 1. So that's just y. Now flip the sign, is greater than, and now simplify everything on the right. So negative 2 over negative 3 is just 2 over 3. So 2/3 x. And then 12 divided by negative 3 is negative 4. So now we have this in the form y equals mx plus b. It's in slope-intercept form at least. There's no equal sign. But we do have it in slope-intercept. So we need to remember that when we go to plot this point or plot this line, that our y-intercept is the negative 4 and the slope is the 2/3. Okay, so when we go to plot these points, we're going to start with the y-intercept. So I'm going to go from the origin and go down to negative 4 and plot a point. Then I'm going to use the slope 2/3. That's my rise over run. So positive 2 means go up 2. Positive 3 means go right 3. So up 2, right 3. And we're going to keep doing that to plot points. Now you can also, from the y-intercept, you could do the opposite. So remember how we had negative 2 over negative 3? You can also go down 2 and left 3 to plot some more points. Okay, so I've got my dots for the line, but I'm not going to actually connect these dots just yet, because we've got to think about if we need a solid line or if we need a dashed line based on what the inequality says. So a solid line comes if you have an equal sign underneath, so that's either the less than or equal to, the equal sign itself, or a greater than or equal to. And a dashed line will come if you just have the less than or the greater than. Okay, we have a greater than symbol. So we need a dashed line. So I'm going to connect these dots with just some little dashes, and then draw my arrows on the ends. So we've got our line done, but now to finish off this graphing, this inequality, we have to think about if we're going to shade above it or if we're going to shade below it. Okay, well, if you're going to shade above, that means you have a greater than, or greater than or equal to. If you're going to shade below, that means you have a less than, or a less than or equal to. we have a greater. So we need to shade above. So this is the kind of it's kind of a 5-step process if you have to flip your sign, but it's a quick, easy way to graph lines that are inequalities.